Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host Gershwan and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about the Imperium of Man as we get into 40 facts about the Adeptus Custodes. The Adeptus Custodes, also known as the Legal Custodes before the Horus Heresy, is the Imperial Adept responsible for guarding the Imperial Palace and the physical body of the Emperor of Mankind. They are a group of 10,000 genetically engineered superhumans who are even more potent in combat than the Adeptus Astartes, and who serve as the Emperor's personal guardians and Praetorian bodyguards. The origins of the Custodian Guard are shrouded in myth and legend. The Custodes were founded by the Emperor of Mankind at an unknown date before the Unification Wars on Terra, sometime during the latter years of the Age of Strife, and since then have maintained a constant vigil over his person. During that time, they had yet to be given the title of the Adeptus Custodes, and were instead variously known as the Emperor's Companions, the Immortal Guardians, and the Emperor's Bodyguard. Later on, they were also known as the Legal Custodes. When the Emperor still walked amongst mankind, in battle, a double-strength company always fought alongside him, and a detachment of custodians even accompanied the Emperor when he retreated to his private chambers within the Imperial Palace. During the Great Crusade, these great warriors always kept a contingent with the Emperor for his protection, but also traveled individually as his personal envoys. During the Great Crusade era, there was reckoned to only be 1,000 of these elite warriors in total. Although this was highly speculative, only the Emperor and his inner circle knew their exact numbers. Certainly no more than 1,000 had ever been seen together at any time, and then only once in a famous battle of Gyros Thravian, fought during the Great Crusade against the Orc warlord Garkul Blackfang and his vast greenskin horde. The Primarchorus, Rogoldorn, and Mortarion, along with their legions, were vastly outnumbered and close to defeat, when the Emperor led an assault from his golden battle barge. At the head of 1,000 custodians, the Emperor struck at the very heart of the Orc horde, confronting the warlord atop a towering gargant. As the Emperor decapitated the giant black-skinned orc, the custodians laid waste to the warlord's knobs. It is said that within moments, over 100,000 greenskins died, and the wall was broken. Legend has it that only 3 custodians fell at the battle, their names enshrined forever and engraved on the Emperor's armor. Even in the days before the Horus Heresy, it was a rare and blessed thing to see a member of the Legal Custodes, and due to the confinement of the Emperor upon the Golden Throne, it has become an almost unthinkable event. Even during the Battle of Terra, only a handful of Custodes joined the Emperor when he made his assault upon Horus's flagship. Since the death of Horus and the mortal wounds he inflicted upon the Emperor, the Adeptus Custodes have taken a more limited role by acting solely as the protectors of the physical form of the Emperor, and the primary providers of security for the Imperial Palace. The Adeptus Custodes are the Dread Guardians, and the only living beings that were permitted to be in the presence of the Emperor. The Custodes are the greatest group of psychologically and physically enhanced troops the Emperor has ever created. They are the best trained, most disciplined, and most vigilant watchmen of the Imperium. Now deep within the Segmentum Imperialis on Terra, they continue their eternal watch over the body of the Emperor. The Adeptus Custodes were instrumental in the ending of the rule of High Lord Vogue Vandire during the Age of Apostasy in the 36th millennium. It was the actions of a few members of the Adeptus Custodes, utilizing secret passages within the Imperial Palace, known only to themselves, that brought the Sisters of Battle, then known as the Brides of the Emperor, to fully realize the acts of base treason perpetuated by Vandire. After their leader, Alicia Dominica, was brought before the Emperor himself by the Custodes through the secret passages of the palace, she returned and executed Vandire personally for his apostasy and betrayal of the Emperor. The Custodes are slightly larger and stronger than even the superhuman Space Marines. The uniforms of the Custodians are traditional but effective: boots, leather breeches, and long black cloaks. Their torsos are naked and corded with tattooed muscle. Ha! Gay! Their tall brazen helmets, ominous and all-enclosing, giving them a threatening and impersonal appearance. Ancient and ornate, the helmets incorporate advanced protective equipment and communicators. Originally, the traditional color of the Custodes was red. Following the confinement of the Emperor after the defeat of Horus, it was changed to black to commemorate their mourning. The weapon carried by the Custodes resembles spears, but in fact they are laser weapons built into the shape of spears. The spears are built to resemble the original Guardian spears carried by the Legio Custodes before the Emperor's confinement. The Guardian spear is closely associated with the Custodes and is depicted on their banners and badges. The Adeptus Custodes is a department of the Adeptus Terra, the overall imperial government, but its members answer only to the Emperor and their own officers. The Adeptus commanding officer carries the title of Captain General and Chief Custodian. And due to the importance of the Adeptus Custodes in the governing of the Imperium, since they always stand the closest to the Emperor, the Captain General holds a position amongst the ruling High Lords of Terra on the Senatorum Imperialis. Although the Custodes were among the first genetically modified warriors to be created by the Emperor during the unification wars of the 31st millennium, they were never intended to be a part of the conquering army. Such roles were filled by the later legions of the Astartes. This is revealed both in their mindset and training. While custodians share genetic kinship with one another, they do not foster the same spirit of almost religious brotherhood that is instilled within the Astartes in order to function together as a unit. Each custodian prepares and inspects their war gear individually, rather than as a part of a unit ritual. The individuality of each Custodes is further promoted by the fact that the genetic engineering process required to produce them is not as refined or as simple as that of the Astartes, and thus they are not mass-produced, as the Astartes are, meaning that each custodian is a unique investment of the Imperium who undergoes a genetic enhancement process that has been specifically adapted to its particular physiology and genome. One ritual that the Custodes do share in common is the recognition of mighty deeds, manifested in the awarding of individual names, which are added to the custodian's title to represent the action he has performed in service to the Emperor. One example is Constantine Valdor, obtaining 932 names prior to the assault of Horus upon Terra. Such names were inscribed onto the inside of the warrior's power armor as marks of individual pride. The training of a Custodes also differs immensely from that of a Space Marine, since they were intended to be bodyguards rather than soldiers. This can be clearly seen from their participation in the Blood Games, a series of war games in which the custodian seeks to identify all possible ways the Imperial Palace could be infiltrated or assaulted. The custodians are trained in the art of assassination, both improvised and professional, in order to counter a possible attempt on the life of the Emperor. It is common for several custodians to be on detached duty for these blood games, so that the adept remains vigilant against developing threats to the Emperor's person. The Custodes are well versed in the political etiquette of Terra, and have been known to act outside of Imperial law, to infiltrate influential Imperial noble houses, and to investigate any potential threats. This aspect of custodian mindset is advantageous, given that the Captain General of the Order often shares a seat with the High Lords of Terra. This allows him to navigate the political maneuverings of the Imperium's various adepts, while still remaining an awe-inspiring warrior. Several Imperial records indicate that the creation of a custodian is a long and difficult process, utterly different from the creation process of a standard Astarte, and much more costlier. Thus, their relatively small numbers in the galaxy compared to the Space Marines. The Custodes have the final word on security in the Imperial Palace, and even the High Lords of Terra are subservient to them within its walls. The martial capabilities of the Adeptus Custodes remains largely unknown at the present time. What is known is that they possess skills beyond even that of a normal member of the Adeptus Astarte. It has been said that the Adeptus Custodes are to the Emperor what the Space Marines are to their Primarchs, and that the Emperor's own genetic matrix was used in their creation, and through this, their loyalty to him is assured. Others argue that the Custodians are not like the Emperor in the way that the Space Marines are like to their Primarchs. and that some other source was used as a template for their physical and psychological form, a source that was lost during the anarchy of the Unification Wars. The truth will likely never be known. Only 300 Custodes serve as the actual personal guard of the Emperor, called the Emperor's Companions, who guard the Emperor's chamber at all times. These are those Custodes that are privileged enough to be in the Emperor's physical presence. Each unit of companions is led by a centurion. It was one such centurion that led a small group of companions to meet Alicia Dominicana, head of the Brides of the Emperor, later Sisters of Battle, during the Gog Vandir's reign of blood in the Age of Apostasy. One of the companions, Constantine Valdor, was the captain general and chief custodian during the Post-Heresy. He was the most honored of all of the Emperor of Mankind's creations. No other being has served the Emperor for as long as he has, except for the Imperial Regent of Terra, the potent psyker, Malcador the Sigillite. Valdor was a proud and respectful warrior, unmatched in his devotion and loyalty to the Emperor. Valdor was ever present at the Emperor's side, always protecting him from unseen enemies, and he saved the Emperor's life innumerable times. Along with Malcador, Valdor was the Emperor's most trusted friend and advisor. Constantine Valdor was one of the first High Lords of Terra, chosen after the end of the Horus Heresy, to guide the Imperium forward following the Emperor's internment within the Golden Throne. He also had a close relationship with the Primarch Rogel Dorn and Leman Russ, although initially, Russ and Valdor did not see eye to eye. Dorn was ever present at the Imperial Palace during the Great Crusade, and so Valdor and the Primarch spent much time together. On the other hand, Valdor only earned Russ's respect when the former defeated Horus in a sparring match. The two then served together in the combat during the fall of Prospero, when the Custodes and the Space Wolves joined to punish the Thousand Sons Legion of Magnus the Red for his continual use of sorcery despite the edict of the Council of Nicaea. There is no record of when or how Valdor was killed, or if he was even killed at all. He eventually stepped down from the Senatorum Imperialis as a High Lord, and so he continued to devote all of his attention to protecting his beloved Emperor, now encased within the Golden Throne. Other accounts of the Custodians' exploits provide a different version of the relationship between the Astartes and the Custodes. These records indicate that though the Custodians are slightly larger, their fighting skills are more or less equal. As bodyguards, the Custodes not only protect the Emperor's person, but also maintain surveillance on all other factions of the Imperium. To police their loyalty, infiltrate the households of suspicious individuals among the imperial nobility, and enter deep cover to test the tightness of their own security within the imperial palace. A notable custode that existed in history is Architus Vindex Centurio. When on Terra, the Emperor himself imprinted the genetic knowledge of the Primarch program onto Corvus Corax. He also ordered a squad of his very own bodyguards to accompany the Primarch of the 19th Legion back to Deliverance to protect the sensitive knowledge. Although the knowledge imprinted into Corax's mind would slowly fade, the Custodes would continue their Emperor-given task to protect and watch over the Primarch of the Raven Guard. As leader of the new bodyguard, and the man whose task it had been to watch over the Raven Guard during their stay in the Imperial Palace, Vindex soon became a figure of influence within Corax's War Council, as the Raven Lord enjoyed debating with the leader of the Custodians, when not on the front lines or even in the heat of battle. Whereas Corax always marveled on Horus's tenacity to declare war on the Imperium, Architus had a quite different point of view. Horus would never have turned traitor if he hadn't been sure from the beginning that he would win. Alongside the ever-acting Raven Guard, Articus and his brothers saw much combat, participating in such ventures as the raid of Capel 5642A, or the Day of the Vengeance on Karadiru. And those were 40 facts about the Adeptus Custodes. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, comment down below with any suggestions that you guys might have as far as topics to discuss in the next videos. There's going to be a part 2 to this because we're going to go over all the individual Adeptus Custodes, I guess, notable characters. There's a lot. And again, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, and sharing. Please don't forget to like this video. By you guys liking, it helps out the channel. Just a simple thumbs up, and it really helps out. Catch you guys tomorrow. This was Gershwan with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.